Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Professor Anderson. Today, we are going to present our stage 3, the survey data collection, the method section. Remember that we belongs to the topic of call, design, and usage on the platform of Portfolio. So with you, Yudy, Leidy, and Fabian. So what we are going to discuss today, the introduction, the type of study, context of the participants, the method of the learning analysis, the data collection, procedure, discussions, and conclusion.
Okay, thank you, Fabian. So now let's talk about some of the concepts that are important in this study. So the first one is called a computer-assisted language learning. So as Rifan et al. 2020, citing Sperling 1997, defines call as the computer use in language providing resources available for the students' improvement for their English language skills. It could include computers, internet, online references, materials, online exercises, etc. Okay, now moving to the definition of learning objects, we have that Alarcon et al. 2015 defines a learning object as an entity, a chunk of information that can be used, reused, and referenced as a learning unit, blocks, a learning objective, activity, and assessment performed in a self or a independent way. It could include handouts, textbooks, and others to online versions as model simulations and other ways of electronic source. Okay, so this study is being developed following the principles of the mixed method research or study. So according to Creswell 1999, mixed methods includes the use of quantitative and qualitative methods to collect and analyze and report findings in a single study. So to start, quantitative research involves the gathering of numeric information through instruments, while a qualitative research implies an approach that is guided by significant research areas or themes. So instead of clarity about the research questions and hypotheses, it can develop better questions and hypotheses before, during, and or after the data collection and analysis. So now this is the structure of the method we follow for this study. So first we have the population. It included students from a public and a private university. The sample, there were 15 students enrolled in the English undergraduate program from 17 to 66 years old, and they belong to an intermediate English level. The method, as I already stated, is mixed method. The instruments we used were a user experience questionnaire, and the equipment were computers and internet and a Google form questionnaire.
Thank you, Judy. As our classmates said about context, in this we have from 28,000 students. We specifically require a sample of English 4 extension course with just 53 students. And that was from the public one, and from the private one institution this one has 9,000 students, and the selected group was an English 5 with 32 participants. And then the inquiry was placed to students, both group labels participating 46 inquirers. And then in this research paper, we would like to talk about the data collection. During this data collection instrument the most important was to use a Google form. It was organized into 3 sections. The first one was the presentation of the questionnaire. And then the second one was the sample of characterization with specific items like the age range, gender, role of participants, students, teachers, and all about the context. Next one. And then the third item was the user experience questions, in which we asked the students about the learning objects, questions like, do you like the product? Is it easy to get familiar with the product and to learn how to use it? Can you solve its tasks without unnecessary effort? Does it react fast? Do you feel in control of the interaction? And all of those questions were asked to the students. And then in this, we have the procedures. So the first point was the selection of the learning objects to access. They were 15 different learning objects, by the way. And then the qualitative measures was applied using the set of 3 institutional designs guidelines created by Cuesta Medina, says in Carroll. And then we have some guidelines based on the educational technology and usability. And the third one, SEX incorporates guidelines based on interactivity. And then all of those learning objects were presented to the population from the private and public school. And then the questionnaire implementation was carried out exactly on August 24th with the private one. And then the process of sample selection started where 15 samples were chosen randomly, and finishing with information was processed for further analysis using Excel tools and all these instruments that technology offers today.
Perfect, thank you, ladies. So talking about discussion, this is a new element in our method paper. We decided to include this section because we had a lot of information to say about the instruments and findings about the analysis of this data. So the first thing that we want to make clear is how we got the population and the sample. So we use a methodology, a statistical methodology called the correction for finitude. That is an instrument that helps us to offer a reliability about the population and the sample together. So we started with a full population of 85 individuals. Then the reliability factor was 45 inquirers, that this represents a 5% of margin error and a reliability of 90%. So with this first stage, we offer the reliability about the population and the sample to implement the instrument. Some of the main findings that we found at the analysis of the data are about the age of the population, with ranges mainly from 18 to 44 years old. Most of the role are the students. The English level is considered A2. This is all quantitative data that we are trying to analyze through statistical methods. The level of confidence of the sample is around 3.5, which means that they don't have a really great level of expertise. However, they feel confident enough. And in relation to the topics of the user experience question, the greatest score is related to likeliness. That means if they felt comfortable or if they like the product or the learning object is the highest score, and the lowest one is the related with the knowledge, the expertise, the knowledge that they have to had for using these learning objects as a tool. So here we can find in this second image some of the scores taking into account the answers of the sample related to the items that we were asking in the user experience questionnaire through the instrument. So we see that the lowest score is related to the level of effort that they have to place in the learning objects, and the greatest one with the how much they like the product. And also we provided some statistical analysis through Cambridge. This score is kind of low, but taking into interpretations of what this score could mean, it wants to say that these elements from the user experience, they don't have a high correlation. We could explain this issue because these categories are too broad to explain and to correlationate each other. So that's why we have a coverage in a really low score, but it's not because the reliability of the instrument, is because the categories are too broad, too deep, too condensed to have a correlation between them. In addition, we want to present some of the conclusions. We have some issues or struggles presenting the instrument in a full English language because the population struggle to understand the questions. So it is necessary to present this information in English and both in Spanish too, in our case, so we can have a better understanding of what is asked in the population. In addition, it was convenient that we decided to socialize first the learning objects, to present them to the population, to bring a specific time for using these learning objects, and the population have a clear purpose of this usage. So it helps a lot because the population really have interaction with the learning objects prior to the assessment through the questionnaire and through the instrument. So it offers the rigorosity for the data collection process carried out. Also, we have a really good scores related with the questions of the user experience. So the average was this score a 0.89 in average. So most of the population felt comfortable about using the learning objects. And we already state what was the lowest score and what was the greatest score in the findings. Also, we consider that we need to keep processing the information through statistical methods because the results that we got at the coverage is quite interesting. So it is important to gather and to inquire a little bit more to have a better understanding of why the score, and try to implement another types of analysis as the parallel analysis and the Pearson testing to confirm if these values at the coverage method is constant if we use another type of analysis. And finally, where we have our reference that we have been using in this document, in this method paper, and we want to appreciate every one of you for paying attention to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.